Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your #1 source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
A cold start this morning with temperatures down below freezing in a lot of spots. We'll likely see this again tomorrow. And then the big warm up arrives. I'll show you when we'll hit 80s for highs.
And an early morning fire wakes up a family here in Raleigh. Coming up, we'll tell you what the family thinks happened.
And breaking news in Cary, where police have returned to the scene of a fire where human remains were found, along with a man who had been shot. We will update you on that story coming up. But thank you for joining us on your Monday morning, your chilly Monday morning. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Good to have you along here. First day of spring, last day of winter. Can't decide which it is right now. I think we're still on the winter side of things right now. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with those temperatures firmly in winter.
31 degrees right now here at RDU, but we have clear skies, a little bit of cloud cover in our southern counties, but we're going to see those clouds dissipating. It's going to be a nice, bright, sunny day today for the most part. 27 in Roxborough. It's 30 now in South Hill, Rocky Mount, and Goldsboro. So we were in the 20s last hour. Started to see temperatures creeping up just a touch. 30 in Southern Pines, 35 in Fayetteville and Clinton. It will be another cold start tomorrow morning, but tomorrow afternoon we finally climb to near normal, which is mid 60s, and then we have 70s and 80s in the forecast this week. Our temperatures this morning are running 5 to 10 degrees colder than this time yesterday. Our afternoon highs will actually be a little warmer than yesterday. Mid 40s at lunchtime. We'll see 55. Yesterday's high was 50 degrees. But after that, we warm up nicely. We're going to see the chance of some showers on Wednesday and on Saturday. I'll show you the timeline for the rain coming up, Brian.
It is just about 8:02 right now, and getting some conflicting reports about the Durham Freeway northbound right around Ellis Road. Had an earlier report of a crash out there, but just check with our partners at Waze, and they're not showing anything right now. So that may have been cleared already, but we're still seeing some lingering delays between Cornwallis and TW Alexander. Once you get through that, it looks pretty smooth heading up toward the 147 split. Seeing a little bit of a southbound delay as you head toward the Cornwallis Road interchange down to the I-40 eastbound ramp. That's pretty typical for this time of day. Also, some sun glare delays starting to form now between Fayetteville Road out toward Highway 55 on 40 eastbound coming in from the Chapel Hill area into RTP and South Durham. Around the rest of Raleigh right now, some good news over on the Beltline. That earlier crash that had closed the ramp from 440 westbound to outbound Wade Avenue has cleared, and the delays have cleared. So far, it's a pretty smooth ride as you head around from 87 to Wade Avenue, not picking up any big backups at this point. On the south side of Garner, we still have this crash reported at Hebron Church Road around White Oak Road. Still seeing some delays as you head through that interchange. Here's an update on those drive times there on 440 westbound from 87 around to Wade. Just about a 2-minute delay showing up. It looks like in the past couple of minutes there's been a little bit of a backup forming on 440 westbound right around Wake Forest Road, but it clears up pretty quickly.
Thanks, Brian. Breaking news we've been following this morning. A family escaped flames inside their Raleigh home, and we just heard from the daughter of the homeowner within the last hour. This is all happening on Charney Drive and Skycrest, and WRAL's Naya Harden is there right now. It's what we know so far about how this investigation is going, Naya.
Yeah, right now the family is here, the Red Cross here assisting. Take a look. They are right now just looking at their home, and you can see that it is unrecognizable debris everywhere after that fire broke out this morning. I spoke to Anaya Wilson. Her mother owns this home. She says that they were inside around 4 o'clock this morning when the nephew heard what sounded like gunshots. He woke the family up. They say that they thought it was gunshots until they noticed the fire was coming from the garage. The water heater, they say, exploded. 4 people were in the home. They tried to get out through the front door, but the porch was fully engulfed. Take a listen to what Anaya had to say about that experience.
When we went outside, our whole garage door was already gone. And like our doorbell was catching on fire. The front porch was on fire. Because we got a ring and like it kept going off and you could hear it catching on fire.
Now, thankfully, they were able to get out through the back door, and the family is okay. The fire department telling them that everything is gone. We're still waiting to hear from the fire department to get an update on where this investigation stands right now. And, of course, the Red Cross, again, is assisting the family. Naya Harden, WRAL News in Raleigh.
And we're also following breaking news this morning in Cary. Police are back on the scene at a property when officers discovered human remains in a trash fire. A man also shot himself on the same property. WRAL's Laura Levine is in Cary with what we know so far about this investigation. Laura?
Michelle, this morning, the investigation into the human remains found here on Dorset Drive is well underway, exactly a day after fire crews here responded to a call they believed was just about an illegal trash burn. Turned out to be something much worse. Taking a look at the scene behind me, you can see police still have this entire property here blocked off with crime scene tape. Throughout the morning, we have seen police cruisers also down the intersection here blocking that area as well. Take a look at these two RVs that are parked here. It was inside the RV in the backyard, where police found a man suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Taking you back to that first initial response yesterday, it was when fire crews extinguished that fire when they discovered human remains in the pit, along with other debris, and called Cary police. After searching the property, police found the man in that RV. Take a listen to Broadcastify radio traffic from that discovery.
Came out here for an outside fire. There's a burn pile. Tons of cardboard. It looks like there's a body in the pile. We've lost the homeowner. He's going back on the camper. I don't know what's going on. We got PD expedited.
Copy. If you haven't done already, you might want to back up to a safe spot.
And police say that man found in the RV is now in the hospital with serious life-threatening injuries. There was also a woman that was here on the property. She was uninjured, and during this time she has been speaking with investigators. As far as the human remains, police say due to the condition, they have not been able to identify the race, gender, or identity of that person. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Cary.
There is extra security today at Fayetteville Tech as police and the SBI investigate a social media threat. Michael Grace is on campus in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker with what students and staff need to know before coming to class.
Well, class is going to resume normally this morning, but students are definitely going to notice more campus security along with a larger police presence. And we're still trying to find out more about the nature of these threats, but according to the school, it came through an email. Some other safety measures include limited access to buildings and for all faculty and staff to visibly display their badges at all times. The school is also asking students to be more aware of their surroundings this week and to report anything suspicious to campus security. In Fayetteville, Michael Grace, WRAL News.
A Manhattan grand jury will hear more testimony today as former President Trump prepares for a possible indictment against him as soon as tomorrow. This is all linked to Trump's alleged hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Attorney Robert Costello will reportedly offer evidence that contradicts what Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen has said about those payments. Costello previously represented Cohen and says Trump's legal team requested he testify. Cohen says he also will show up today as a rebuttal witness. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is urging people not to protest if Trump is indicted and arrested.
When someone says that they can protest, he would probably be referring to my tweet, educate people about what's going on. He's not talking in a harmful way, and nobody should. Nobody should harm one another.
And Trump himself has called for protests over a possible arrest. He would become the first former president to be indicted. McCarthy called the Manhattan District Attorney's investigation politically motivated. Well, coming up, spring breakers beware. Changes are coming to one of the most popular beach spots in the country.
The presence of guns has created a peril that cannot go unchecked.
The new measures Miami Beach is putting in place after a violent weekend.
Plus, how the conviction of former South Carolina attorney Alec Murdaugh is prompting new action this morning in other deaths linked to his family.
And it's officially the first day of spring. It's really going to feel more like the last day of winter at 55 today. Look at that. We jumped to 85 on Friday. I'll show you what's going to happen with our weather pattern to bring us so much warmth coming up.
8:12 is the time on your Monday, and clouds over Fayetteville. How about that just to our south? And we have a couple of different views we want to show you here. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. As we look, there's blue skies in some places, but interesting, Fayetteville cloudy.
Yeah, a lot of our southern counties right now are seeing some cloud cover. That's going to swing on by pretty quickly. Here's another look at Fayetteville. This is a look at our newsroom there in Fayetteville and the sidewalk on Hay Street. You can tell it's cloudy there. But in Chapel Hill, you can see the bright skies. That's courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. And Apex and Goldsboro, both looking sunny right now. It's cold out there. We have that freeze warning that's in effect. We have a freeze watch in effect for tomorrow morning. Most likely, the Weather Service will convert that into a freeze warning for tonight for maybe part of the viewing area. It looks like it might be a little bit warmer tonight, but not a lot. It's still going to be another one of those nights that the farmers are going to be up all night trying to protect those strawberries, and I thank them very much for that, because strawberry season starts in, well, really probably less than a month or so. 28 right now in Roxborough, 30 in South Hill, Rocky Mount, and Goldsboro, Southern Pines. It's a little warmer down south, mid-30s in Fayetteville and down around Clinton. So today is the first day of spring, which is the vernal equinox. Let's talk about the different seasons and what it means for us to be in the vernal equinox. Of course, the Earth is tilted on its axis. So in the summertime, the northern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun. So we have longer days and shorter nights and a lot of warmth. In the wintertime, the opposite. The northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun. So we have shorter days, longer nights, and cold. And of course, for the autumnal and vernal equinox, we have equal parts of daylight and darkness. And of course, we're headed towards summer at this point. So our days will start to become longer than our nights now. And of course, we'll start to warm things up. Our normal high today is 65. We're going to be about 10 degrees cooler than that. But, you know, eventually that sunshine is going to win. As our days get longer, you know, we have to get warmer. And we will see that this week, actually. High pressure keeping things dry for us right now. We're tracking another system that's going to bring us just a few scattered light showers for Wednesday. There's 8 a.m. Wednesday morning. We'll see just this little band of clouds that tries to sneak in with a few light showers around lunchtime or so and into the early part of the afternoon. And then another front approaches us on Friday. This is Friday evening. We're going to see that front moving across the Mississippi Valley. It'll be a dry start on Saturday, but in the afternoon, we're going to see that front moving through. Not a lot of rain with that. Could be a few isolated thunderstorms, but in general, we're not looking at a ton of rain with either Wednesday or Saturday's system. So 20% chance on Wednesday and a 30% chance on Saturday. In the meantime, the pollen count for trees is high. It's not extremely high. It's kind of on the low end of high for pine, oak, maple, and mulberry, but that is likely to change this week as our temperatures climb into the 70s and 80s consistently. That's going to signal to the plants to put out more pollen. So that's going to turn worse. And the rain that we see on Wednesday and Saturday may not be enough to really wash a lot of that pollen out of the atmosphere. But if you were just waiting for some warm temperatures, I'll show you how close Friday will be to a record coming up, Brian.
8:15 right now as we check traffic around the Triangle, and we still have this crash on the south side of Garner at Hebron Church Road at White Oak Road. I just looked at the more detailed sensor data in that area, and I'm not seeing any big delays at this point. It looks like that largely has cleared, which is good news. Also good news around the rest of the Triangle right now. We're not really picking up any other big problems. No other crashes causing significant issues. That earlier crash on 440 westbound right around Wade Avenue appears to be largely cleared now, and we're just seeing delays in sort of the usual spots on 64 eastbound heading out of Apex and back toward Cary right around Laura Duncan Road. Also on 40 westbound, the backups around the Clayton bypass, and also there on the south side of Raleigh around Gorman Street, seeing just a little bit of a lingering delay there. Let's take a look at your ride through Durham right now. We're seeing some of the usual congestion in both directions of 885, but as far as approaches into Durham, no trouble coming in from Raleigh on 40 westbound. Only about a 2-minute delay on 40 eastbound heading in from Chapel Hill with some congestion right around the Fayetteville Road interchange. And on 98 westbound from Highway 50 in Wake County back toward 885, seeing only about a 1-minute delay through East Durham.
Today's 20 years since the U.S. ground invasion of Iraq. It's a live look at Capitol Hill, where Congress could take back the power that made that invasion possible. The Senate will vote this week on repealing the power former President George W. Bush used to authorize military force in Iraq. To this day, debate remains over the reason for the invasion. The Bush administration has always said it was to remove weapons of mass destruction and over the country's links to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Those both turned out to be untrue. The U.S. withdrew in 2011. The war cost more than 4,500 American lives, hundreds of thousands of Iraqi lives, and plunged the country into civil war. Iraq has since made steps toward recovery with a new government in place.
Cyclists in Durham want the city to do more to protect them on the streets. Advocates from Bike Durham will gather before tonight's city council to meet to talk about the Vision Zero agenda. The goal is to reduce the number of traffic deaths and serious injuries to zero. They want the city to provide annual funding for safety efforts, and they also want all existing bike lanes converted into protected lanes. They're calling on the city to find a full-time coordinator for the agenda.
The murder conviction of former South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh has renewed interest in other deaths in that area originally thought to be accidental. Family and friends of Stephen Smith are paying for an independent autopsy. Smith was openly gay and had been a high school classmate of Murdaugh's older son, Buster. Stephen's body was found in 2015 near where Buster's mother and brother were shot to death several years later. Smith's family says Alex Murdaugh's older brother contacted them to offer help even before police told them Stephen had died. Officers have since reopened their investigation.
There's been the long rumored involvement somehow of a Murdaugh, whether it's him or somebody else in the family that has knowledge at least of the death of Stephen Smith.
Eric Bland, that attorney there, represents the family of Gloria Satterfield, who died at the Murdaugh family home in 2018. Murdaugh says she tripped and fell, but admitted to pocketing the insurance money meant for Satterfield's family. An investigation into her death has been reopened as well.
A curfew in the city of Miami Beach expired at 6 o'clock this morning. The city will consider further restrictions today after 2 deadly shootings over the weekend. City leaders enforced the curfew because of what they called excessively large and unruly spring break crowds. One person died in a shooting on South Beach on Friday night. Another died in a shooting early Sunday morning. The city's mayor said the curfew was a necessary step.
The volume of people in our city, the unruly nature of too many, and the presence of guns has created a peril that cannot go unchecked, especially in the evenings.
Miami Beach's City Commission will hold a special meeting today to talk about what to do next. Ken Smith is tracking new developments on this from the WRAL Live Center. Ken.
And Michelle, brand new video just into the WRAL Live Center showing surveillance video of that Sunday morning shooting in Miami Beach. Take a close look at what we're talking about. You're going to see the suspect. Police are coming into view right there. That gentleman right there pulls out a weapon from underneath his T-shirt, and police say fired several shots at the victim, and when the victim fell to the floor, he fired several more shots at the victim as well. We froze the video so you wouldn't actually see that, but there you see the suspect running away from that scene of that Miami Beach shooting that we just reported on. This is brand new video just into the WRAL Live Center.
Just so scary. Thank you, Ken. The city of Durham is looking to fill dozens of job openings in its ranks. The city will host a job fair from 1 to 6 this afternoon at the Durham Convention Center. It's looking to hire more than 911 operators, fire and police recruits, maintenance workers, and administrative workers, among other positions. You can see a list of all the job openings on the city's website.
Today's the start of the very first restaurant week for the town of Apex. The small business manager there for the town says it'll be a good boost for the local economy. She says people just aren't willing to spend as much as they used to wine and dine.
In small business, primarily what you're spending money on is not like, let's say, need items. They're kind of want items. So having an event like this that still allows you to maybe more easily access those kinds of things.
We have a full list of participating restaurants and their deals at WRAL.com.
Spring cleanup is happening in Garner neighborhoods. The town's special yard waste and trash pickup routes start this morning. Yard waste does not need to be bagged or bundled, and usual size specifications for trash pickup don't apply. That means you can put out furniture, mattresses, and any other bulky items you may have. Check out the schedule and list of things that you can't put out. That's on the Town of Garner's website.
Carolina Panthers have added some firepower to their offense. The team announced the signing of veteran wide receiver Adam Thielen. Two-time Pro Bowler has played in Minnesota for his entire 9-year career.
Being a big movie star definitely has its benefits, and that includes getting to see summer blockbusters even before it's spring. David Daniel explains in today's Hollywood Minute.
He's so generous.
Being a superstar has its perks. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Tom Cruise was talking in February with Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, who told him Warner's upcoming movie The Flash was great. Cruise asked if he could see it, so a Warner's employee took a copy to Cruise's home, then took it back after the actor finished watching it. Cruise reportedly was so impressed, he called director Andy Muschietti to rave about the film. The Flash hits theaters June 16th.
You should probably run.
Megan director Gerald Johnstone says the difference between the PG-13 theatrical version and the unrated cut was less swearing, not less gore.
On the horror side of things, we just didn't hold back, and you'll just get to see people's faces get ripped off. And if that's your cup of tea, it's there with shortbread waiting for you.
Megan Unrated is on digital now and arrives on Blu-ray and DVD Tuesday. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
A big bank buyout could have wide-ranging effects right here in the Triangle. Just ahead, what the takeover of Credit Suisse means for the hundreds of people who work for the company at RTP.
Plus, the next steps for Nash County Social Services after a report found a serious lack of oversight before the death of an 8-year-old little girl.
Listen to WRAL News Plus on your radio in Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good Monday morning. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey with your top stories. A chilly start to the week. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has a look over Clinton. Cloudy and cold out there.
It looks like it's going to rain at any minute, doesn't it? But it's not. We do have some clouds that are swinging through our southern counties right now. It's going to be moving out in the next couple of hours. We're seeing sunshine in most places, but it is cold out there. 28 Lewisburg, 32 Tarboro and Irwin. It's 30 in Rocky Mount and 34 degrees in Goldsboro. Walking the dog this morning, definitely chilly. We only warm into the mid-40s by lunchtime and mid-50s for this afternoon. But tomorrow, temperatures will be 10 degrees warmer. I'll show you coming up what's going to bring us the warmth. Brian?
Elizabeth, just getting word of a crash inside the Beltline in Raleigh on Six Forks Road at Wake Forest Road. As we zoom into that area, we're not really picking up any big delays through that intersection just south of the Beltline. Also over on the western side of Wake County, not too far from the Wake-Chatham County line here, we have a crash on Green Level West Road near Green Level Church Road. It's a crash with injuries there just north of Apex, seeing just a little bit of a delay showing up through that area. Overall, not a bad commute this morning. Just the usual delays coming in from Johnston County on 40 westbound right around the Clayton bypass. Once you get through that, it looks fine through the rest of Raleigh. And in Durham right now, major routes are clear. Michelle.
Thank you, Brian. We have some breaking news this morning. You're looking at what's left after a home burned up on Charney Drive in Raleigh this morning. WRAL spoke with the daughter of the homeowner in the last hour. She and 3 others managed to make it out the back door safely. She says the water heater exploded. And Cary police are back on the home on Dorset Drive where human remains were found in a trash fire. That's where you are looking live right now. A man was also found to have shot himself on the same property. He is in critical condition this morning. Next on Fox 50, we'll have more news and weather. We'll see you over there.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
It's a cold start. Freeze warning is in effect for another hour and a half. Temperatures are starting to creep up a little bit. I'll show you why we could see another warning like this tomorrow.
Plus, we are tracking breaking news across our area, from an early morning fire that burned down a Raleigh townhome to an active investigation at a Cary home after human remains were found in a fire.
And how a big bank buyout overnight could affect hundreds of employees with Credit Suisse right here in the Triangle. That is a company with a large presence in RTP. We'll talk more about that right now. On your Monday, I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Good to have you back.
It's good to be back.
You were off last week.
Rested and ready.
Break?
Spring break without the kids, I highly recommend it. If you have the chance.
That's a spring break done right.
My kids had better options. So, I mean,
there you go.
That's what we did. It was great.
All right, Elizabeth Gardner, not feeling like spring break here.
Definitely not. But it is going to by the end of the week. We're going to see a huge jump in our temperature, especially by Thursday and Friday. Right now, it is 31 degrees in the Triangle area, and we're seeing temperatures close to that, too, here in Rocky Mount. Our wind's still coming out of the northeast today, so it keeps things chilly. When our wind switches to southerly tomorrow, we start to see a big warm up, and that will continue to build as we get through the week. 28 in Roxborough right now. It's 30 in Rocky Mount, 32 Goldsboro, 30 in Southern Pines, and we're in the mid-30s in Fayetteville and in Clinton, where we're seeing some cloud cover right now. Those clouds are beginning to dissipate a little later on this morning. Right now, temperatures are anywhere from about 5 to 10 degrees colder than they were this time yesterday. That's going to put us in the mid-40s at lunchtime, and then we'll see mid-50s this afternoon. Yesterday's high was around 50 degrees, so we get a little warmer this afternoon, but it's not a huge jump until tomorrow. We'll talk about when our temperatures will climb into the 80s for highs coming up.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Breaking news, a family escapes flames inside their Raleigh home. We just heard from the daughter of the homeowner within the last 90 minutes. This is all happening on Charney Drive and Skycrest. WRAL's Naya Hardin is there with what we know so far.
Yeah, right now the family is here, the Red Cross here assisting. Take a look. They are right now just looking at their home, and you can see that it is unrecognizable debris everywhere after that fire broke out this morning. I spoke to Anaya Wilson. Her mother owns this home. She says that they were inside around 4 o'clock this morning when the nephew heard what sounded like gunshots. He woke the family up. They say that they thought it was gunshots until they noticed the fire was coming from the garage. The water heater, they say, exploded. 4 people were in the home. They tried to get out through the front door, but the porch was fully engulfed. Take a listen to what Anaya had to say about that experience.
We tried to go out the front door, but the whole front porch was on fire, so then we just ran out the back. And my cousin fell. He got on crutches. He got a broken leg, all that. So we just trying to get out the house safe and make sure everybody okay.
Now, thankfully, they were able to get out through the back door, and the family is okay. The fire department telling them that everything is gone. We're still waiting to hear from the fire department to get an update on where this investigation stands right now. Naya Hardin, WRAL News in Raleigh.
We're also following breaking news in Cary this morning. Police are back on the scene at a property where officers discovered human remains in a trash fire. And a man also shot himself on that same property. WRAL's Laura Levine is in Cary with what we know so far about this investigation. Laura?
Yeah, Jeff, throughout the morning, we saw a fairly large police presence still here on Dorset Drive. As you can see now, police have cleared the scene. There is one officer still here monitoring the active crime scene investigation. Now, this comes as exactly a day after the fire department here responded to a call about what was supposed to be just an illegal trash burn. And then they came and found something much worse. Police have this area blocked off with crime scene tape, and this RV here in the backyard is where a man was found in critical condition from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It was when fire crews extinguished that fire when they discovered human remains in the pit along with other debris and called Cary police. After searching the property, police found the man in the RV. Take a listen to Broadcastify radio traffic from that discovery.
We came out here for an outside fire. There's a burn pile, tons of cardboard. It looks like there's a body in the pile. We've lost the homeowner. He's going back on the camper. I don't know what's going on. We got PD expedited.
Copy. If you haven't done already, you might want to back up to a safe spot.
Now, police say that man is in the hospital right now with a life-threatening injury. A woman was also found here on the property. She is uninjured and has been speaking with investigators during this time. As far as the human remains, police say that the conditions were so bad that they weren't able to identify the race, gender, or identity of that person at this time. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Cary.
Today, extra security will be in place at Fayetteville Tech. Police and the SBI are investigating a social media threat there. Michael Grace is on campus in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker with what students and staff need to know before they get out to class.
Well, class is going to resume normally this morning, but students are definitely going to notice more campus security along with a larger police presence. And we're still trying to find out more about the nature of these threats, but according to the school, it came through an email. Some other safety measures include limited access to buildings and for all faculty and staff to visibly display their badges at all times. The school is also asking students to be more aware of their surroundings this week and to report anything suspicious to campus security. In Fayetteville, Michael Grace, WRAL News.
And we are tracking breaking news developments in the fight to stem a global banking crisis. After 11 o'clock last night, the Federal Reserve announced that it would join other central banks around the world to boost the flow of U.S. dollars. The goal is to make sure people and businesses can access money. It came hours after authorities in Switzerland approved the emergency takeover of Credit Suisse by another Swiss bank, UBS. Shares of both banks are already plunging by double digits this morning. The move is aimed at preventing another bank collapse, but it could have a big impact here in the Triangle. Credit Suisse employs hundreds at its technology campus at RTP and just expanded back in 2017. Experts believe the layoffs may be likely as it merges because UBS already offers many of the same services. There's no final decision yet. Credit Suisse has about 50,000 employees worldwide. The concern over banks comes as the Federal Reserve prepares to decide whether to hike interest rates again. A two-day meeting of the Fed starts tomorrow with the ongoing goal of reducing inflation. Some experts think the Federal Reserve will hold off on increasing interest rates for the first time in more than a year in order to prevent more financial turmoil. A decision is expected Wednesday. Ken Smith is tracking the effects of all of this in the WRAL Live Center. Ken.
And Jeff, everything you just talked about is having a definite impact on the markets. Let's take a look at the big board this morning. Stock futures, for example, just in the last 10 minutes, all these major indices were in red, but as you can see right now, the S&P, Dow, NASDAQ just over the green mark right now. Of course, investors remain spooked about the financial turmoil that's happening in the global banking sector. You just mentioned the Federal Reserve. The Fed started a two-day meeting tomorrow. Investors are trying to determine whether or not the Feds will raise interest rates yet again. But it's a fine line the Feds will have to walk because on the one hand, they're tasked with lowering inflation. On the other hand, there's this financial turmoil. We'll, of course, keep an eye on that and have the opening numbers in our next hour of news right here on Fox 50.
All right, thanks, Ken. Goldsboro police are investigating the death of a 7-month-old boy. Officers responded to UNC Health Wayne around 1:30 yesterday afternoon for a report of a child death. Police say the boy's parents brought the child to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police are not sharing any further information about that case right now.
This morning, we could learn what's next for Nash County's Department of Social Services. Fallout continues after a child was beaten to death in her home. The county's Board of Commissioners is holding a special meeting at 9 a.m. WRAL has learned a social services worker was terminated in connection with the abuse. And that's the case of 8-year-old Crystal Lane. A state report on the investigation found not just a lack of oversight leading up to Lane's death, but poor oversight in nearly half of the investigations handled by the Nash Department of Social Services. Now, Lane was beaten to death at her home on February 7th. Her grandmother, Patricia Ricks, is facing charges. The state has given Nash DSS 30 days to start fixing these problems.
As food prices rise and SNAP benefits shrink, Wake County is looking at new ways to keep families from going hungry. Their proposal to keep folks fed, that's coming up.
Plus, all the local men's teams are out of March Madness, but several of our women's teams still has a shot at winning it all. What to expect in today's round of the NCAA Women's Tournament.
And we're tracking a freeze warning in effect for our area. That's as you look live at Lewisburg this morning. How long until the warm weather returns? That's in your 7-day forecast next. Welcome back on your Monday morning. This is a pretty view over Lake Gaston this morning. A very chilly day to be out on the lake, but later this week into this weekend might be a better bet. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner standing by with a look over Wilson this morning. Chilly now, but it won't last.
Our temperatures this morning have been down in the upper 20s to low 30s. We've had very little wind chill for the most part, but you can see just a little bit of a breeze here in Wilson. The whirligigs are spinning around. 31 is our temperature officially at RDU, and we're looking at temperatures similar to that across the viewing area. Mid-40s at lunchtime. We'll see temperatures climbing into the mid-50s for highs this afternoon. We, of course, have our freeze warning that's still in effect, but the bigger story will be the potential for seeing that again tonight. The farmers have been so busy over the last week to 2 weeks trying to protect all the strawberries and the fruit trees that started budding early. So tomorrow morning, another chance of freezing temperatures. And then I think after that, they're going to get a little bit of a break, which they definitely deserve. Right now, it's 30 in Southern Pines and Roxborough. It's 30 in Rocky Mount and Wilson, 33 in Goldsboro, 31 in the Triangle area. So it's still cold out there as you step out the door. 5 to 10 degrees colder than it was this time yesterday. We'll hit mid-50s this afternoon. We hit 50 yesterday for a high, so a little bit warmer this afternoon, but not dramatically. It's still going to be pretty chilly for us. 56 in Fayetteville, 53 in South Hill, 55 in Southern Pines. Temperatures turn warmer starting tomorrow, though. 64 is our normal high, and that's where we'll be tomorrow. Mid-60s on Wednesday, and then we're going to see another burst of warmth that comes up from the south, and temperatures will climb to 80 Thursday and 85 on Friday. Thursday, we're not likely to hit a record high. The record for Thursday at RDU 93 set back in 1907, but we will be within just a few degrees of it on Friday, 85 versus 88, which was the previous record in 1929. Most of the country right now is seeing temperatures below normal. You can see that in the blue shaded areas, but some wind shift to the south that helps to bring in more warmth from the tropics, and we're going to see temperatures climbing above normal starting on Thursday and continuing into the weekend for at least parts of the East Coast. The West Coast looks like it's going to stay on the chilly side. And, you know, for so much of March, we keep looking ahead, and we've had the potential for below normal temperatures. So finally now, as we look at the last week of March from the 25th to the 29th, we have a good chance of above normal temperatures while the cold air looks like it stays out to the west. Tomorrow morning, temperatures likely to be at or below freezing, and then a nice warm up in the afternoon, Tuesday and Wednesday, 80s on Thursday and Friday. A front comes through Saturday with a small chance for showers, but even behind that front, we're still mild on Sunday at 73. And after tomorrow morning, we have no freezing temperatures in the 7-day forecast.
Thanks, Elizabeth. A man now linked to a 3-decade-old cold case involving rape and kidnapping is due in court today. 51-year-old DeAndre Smith faces charges of first-degree rape, first-degree sexual offense, and kidnapping. The victim in this case was 73 years old at the time. She died in 1992. Police say they finally got a break from DNA evidence from the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative and the Combined DNA Index System. Smith is in jail under a $500,000 bond.
We're working to learn what started a huge fire at a Wake County home. Take a look at this. Flames tore through a 2-story house on Panther Hill Lane, south of Garner on Sunday afternoon. Investigators believe the fire started in the garage, which appeared to sustain the most damage. Firefighters say people were home, but they did manage to get out and no one was hurt. And 2 people were killed in avalanches in Colorado over the weekend. Authorities say one person was found buried in 4 feet of snow on Saturday. A second person died in the town of Aspen on Sunday. 2 other skiers got caught in the avalanche but managed to free themselves. The Colorado Avalanche Information Center says avalanches have killed 9 people so far during this ski season.
Today, Chinese President Xi Jinping is in Russia to meet with President Vladimir Putin. The meeting comes as U.S. officials warn China is considering helping Russia in its assault on Ukraine. This is Xi's first visit to Moscow in 4 years. The White House is encouraging Xi to also talk with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. As it stands, officials say any call from China for a ceasefire would be blatantly one-sided. The International Criminal Court has an arrest warrant out for Putin, accusing him of war crimes over his illegal deportation of children from Ukraine. Over the weekend, Putin made a visit to the Ukrainian city of Mariupol, which is now occupied by Russia. It's the first time he has visited Ukraine, and Ukraine's defense ministry compares his visit to a thief visiting under the cover of night.
We're hearing from one of the 2 Americans who survived a violent kidnapping in Mexico. Eric Williams was one of 4 Americans taken hostage near the Texas border earlier this month. The kidnappers are suspected members of a drug cartel. 2 of the hostages were killed. Williams was shot in the leg, and he has undergone several surgeries.
I'd like to thank everybody for the prayers and the donations for my speedy recovery. I just want y'all to know I'm very thankful and happy that people out there do care.
Williams lives in Winston-Salem. Mexican authorities have charged 6 people in connection with the kidnappings.
Police in Dallas are looking for a person who shot into a crowd during a vigil for a murder victim. Police say there were several shootings in the same location in just a little more than 24 hours. 4 people were shot during the vigil outside a convenience store Saturday night. Police say people in the crowd fired back at the shooter. This happened after one person died and another was hurt in separate shootings the night before.
This past weekend was St. Patrick's Day weekend, and local law enforcement officers made a number of DWI arrests. The Highway Patrol has reported 14. Raleigh Police had 7. Cary Police reported 4. Rollsville Police, the Wake County Sheriff's Office, Zebulon Police, as well as Holly Springs, they each reported 1 arrest.
Tonight, the town of Holly Springs wants the public's input on what kinds of things they want to see in the new downtown village district. The town is updating a plan for growth, development, and redevelopment of the district. One of the ideas for the area will expand Mims Park to Main Street and other neighboring areas. Chris Hills is the Development Services Director for the town of Holly Springs, and he says the population has grown from less than 1,000 residents in 1990 to almost 50,000 now. And Hill says that growth is driving this downtown plan.
That growth really fosters folks wanting to come downtown and really be a part of the community. So we want it to be more walkable. We want to be able to ride bikes. We want to improve transportation networks and things of that nature that really make it feel like a cohesive area where people love to come and visit our core of downtown.
That meeting is tonight from 5:30 to 7 at the Holly Springs Cultural Center on West Ballantyne Street. A final open house meeting is planned for late summer or early fall.
Wake County leaders are working on a plan to make sure families can put food on the table. Commissioners will get an update today on a $7 million proposal to tackle hunger. The money would be used to increase food pantry storage and increase access to free food programs, among other efforts to ensure food security. This comes after Congress failed to approve the extension of extra SNAP benefits for millions of American families.
The city of Goldsboro is considering adding 2-hour time limits on some of its downtown parking areas. City Council will talk tonight about a plan to reinforce 2-hour parking on Center Street between Ash and Chestnut, and also Mulberry and Walnut Streets between John and James Streets. Very specific areas there. A $25 ticket would be enforced on cars that park longer than 2 hours. If the plan is approved, the city wants to put signs in place by June.
In Durham, St. Joseph AME Church hosted a special guest at a service celebrating Women's History Month. Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division delivered remarks to the congregation on Sunday. Clark said her department is on the front lines of the modern-day civil rights movement, working to defend voting rights, calling for police accountability, and confronting hatred in all its forms.
These are not easy times, and I know that there is fear and uncertainty in far too many communities across North Carolina and the country. Nevertheless, I firmly believe in the opportunity for progress on civil rights in this country. I reject the defeatist predictions of decline and stagnation.
Clark said the Justice Department is working with all 94 U.S. attorneys' offices across the country. She says they're forging community partnerships to educate the public and law enforcement about stopping and addressing hate.
UNC Tar Heels women's basketball looking for the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. They play Ohio State today in their second round matchup. The game is happening in Ohio State's home arena in Columbus, so the Heels will be up against it. They got there by beating St. John's in the first round game on Saturday. Tip-off for today's game against the Buckeyes is at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And Duke is also looking to punch its ticket to the Sweet 16. The Blue Devils will host Colorado tonight in a second round game at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Duke got to the second round with a 40-point win over Iona Saturday. Tonight's game will get started at 9 o'clock.
And we are rooting for them.
Yeah,
They're
of course.
Amazing to watch. They're just so athletic. It's awesome. All right, before we go to break, here are your winning lottery numbers, and we'll get another check on weather and traffic next.